Hi, in this demo, we're going to take a look at how we can use variables to change the behavior in different environments for our release. So I'm in Visual Studio Team Services and I've got my releases item here. You'll notice I have 3 environments, and all these environments are very similar. They all have one task, and each of the tasks is very much the same except for this target database name. We want to actually change this. Now I've got a variable here called DeployDB. And in Visual Studio Team Services, if I want to use that variable, I'll use a $sign in parentheses and I'll put the variable name in the middle. Now I'm going to use that same variable, but I want to change the value in each release. So here, I'm going to actually set this to my QA environment. And then I'm going to put that in all of my other environments as well. So in production, I'm going to use the variable, and then I'll change what's assigned for that value. And again, same thing for my second production item. Let's take this out and we'll do this db deploy. Actually, it's deploy db, I believe. So I'm using the same variable there, deploy db. And just so you know, I have a variable here at the top level as well. And we'll call this deploy db, and we'll call this integration. Actually, we'll just call it int. That's not even a valid database name, but that's what would be used by default if I didn't have that same variable overridden in each of these environments. So let's save this. Deploy db to variable each environment. This gives me more flexibility if I choose to copy one of these environments in the next to another environment. I'll have this variable here and I'll only have to edit the variable. I won't need to edit anything else. So now let's create a release. So I've got a previous release here, 574, that has not been deployed yet. So let's deploy this. And we'll see that automatically it starts deploying to the QA environment. And this is going to contain just one migration script. And we'll see it pop up here. This is actually going to change or add a trigger to the status codes table. So if I pop over to Management Studio, and let's take a look at, there's the trigger, but let's take a look at the production database, and we'll look at status codes, and there are no triggers here. But by now this should be deployed to my QA environment, and there's a trigger. So it hasn't been deployed to production, and it hasn't been deployed to the 6th production either. So I have 2 production environments. Let's actually make that deployment happen. And you'll notice QA is updated as succeeded, 5 is in play. And it should take just a moment, and once this happens, we should actually see another trigger that appears right here. And we see it right there. And now if we go check the 6th production environment, we'll actually see it there as well. So, by using variables, I've actually been able to deploy with the same setup, the same task to 3 different environments by having these change in each environment. I have the same deploy DB in all of these, so now my tasks look exactly the same, but the variable itself is overridden in each environment. Different release systems will do this in different ways, but this is how you do it in Visual Studio Team Services.